Welcome back to the Yellow Room Podcast, where it's all about positivity and empowering you to become the very best version of yourself. I'm Nika, the host of this podcast, and I'm so ecstatic that you tuned in for yet another powerful topic intended to empower you. Thank you. I want to say that if you're in the DMV area, you need to clear your calendars for December 14th. We are going to have a blast. Yes, you're going to have a blast. On December the 14th, I will be having an event called 2020 Vision, the Mastermind. It's going to be the ultimate planning party. And if you're wondering if you should attend, well, ask yourself these two questions. Are you ready to be serious about your goals in 2020? If you answered yes, then okay. Next question. Do you like to have fun? I would assume that you all love to have fun. We aren't boring people. So you're going to answer yes to that question. So guess what? You need to be there. It will be in Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is it's in between Richmond and DC. So if you're in either location, make your way there. There are limited tickets being sold. They are going pretty fast. So if you are interested and you are serious about really unleashing your full potential in 2020, you need to be there. You can purchase your tickets now at nikaspeaks.com/events-1. I know that might be a little too much, but you can head over to my Instagram page. The link is in my bio. If you're a little unclear as to what a mastermind is, it's essentially like a peer-to-peer group session where you bounce ideas off of one another, right? So I'll give you an example. Let's say person A, they come in and they let us know that one of their goals in 2020 is to be a first-time homeowner. Let's say person B, and let me add, person A is a financial advisor as well. Let's say person B is a real estate agent and one of her goals for 2020 is to become debt-free, right? As we're all working together and really brainstorming and really writing out our action items to accomplish our goals, we're also helping each other at the same time. It's a magical exchange. It's beautiful. Like, you need to be there. So guess what? Person A and B, they have two totally different backgrounds, but guess what? They can now connect and help one another. The realtor, she can go ahead and give the financial advisor all of the tools and all of the steps that she needs to take in buying her first home. And guess what? The real estate agent who now wants to become debt-free, she can go ahead and link up with the financial advisor, and the financial advisor can help her write out a plan so that she can become debt-free. I know that was a bit much, but guess what? You need to be there. It's not going to be your typical, little vision board party, and you're going to walk away like on a high, and then the next day you're just feeling blah again. Like, no, you're going to leave with actual action items, and we're all going to hold each other accountable. So I can't wait to see you there. Before we get into today's episode, I want you all to hear from one of our fellow Yellow Room family members about how this podcast has been life-changing for her.
When I first discovered the Yellow Room podcast, it was on Instagram. I noticed so much positivity and God-based inspirational posts. And even though sometimes it's the same thing on Instagram daily, this was different. And I was like, I have to take a listen to this podcast. So the first podcast I heard was titled Collaboration Over Competition. And guys, let me tell you, I was hooked to the point where I could be sitting in my room alone yelling, yes, or amen. Who knew that one Instagram post could become something you enjoy listening to every week? The Yellow Room podcast to me is all about empowering, inspiring, and motivating. And I truly admire that.
The Working Woman of the Week goes to Miss Lakeisha Cherie, the relationship coach. She is a marriage and relationship coach, married to her husband Jamal, and together they are breathing new life into marriages, especially military marriages. She happens to be a military spouse. She is an active duty military spouse, and she's been married for 13 years and counting. She is the mother of 4 beautiful children whom she absolutely adores. Before entering her marriage, her husband and her were 2 broken individuals, learning how to come together as one powerful unit. It was important for them to take on their own personal self-care journeys before tackling anything pertaining to marriage or family. Today, she smiles because there were moments in her life when she couldn't. She used to allow depression, self-doubt, and lack of confidence to run her life. Truth is, before working on anything in her marriage or any other relationship, she had to work on herself. Self-care is an extremely important aspect in regards to any relationship. If you are unhappy or having underlying issues, so will your relationships. Part of her self-care journey was going to college and obtaining a master's degree in marriage and family counseling. This allowed her to gain an abundance of knowledge in the inner and outer workings of marriage, family, and relationships. Prayer, life trials, and education has allowed her to create the marriage and life of her dreams. It's no easy task, and it takes work on both ends. But the rewards are absolutely worth it. Please go ahead and connect with Miss Lakeisha, the relationship coach, on Instagram. You can find her at LEKIESHASHARIE. She also has a website at LakeishaCherie.com. Clap it up for the Working Woman of the Week. If you would like to nominate a hard-working woman to be featured on an episode and to receive recognition via my social media platforms, please head over to @_the Yellow Room on Instagram, and you can look up my Facebook group page, The Yellow Room, so that we can connect, get to know one another, and you can go ahead and send me the information for the woman that you are nominating. I'm all about giving my sisters recognition for all of their hard work and letting everyone else know all the amazing things that they're doing. If you don't, do the whole social media thing, please feel free to email me at theyellowroompodcast@gmail.com. This is not only limited to, the Working Woman Wednesday nominations. I'm always open to your feedback, any suggestions on topics that you would like to hear more about. If you disagree with anything I say, if you agree with anything I say, I want to hear it all. Welcome back to the Yellow Room, ladies. Today, we will be talking about branding. Yes, branding, the word that is loosely used nowadays, but the word that also lacks understanding. So many people have heard of branding. They think that they have it under their belt, but many people fail to realize all of the complexities that go into effective branding. It's more than just logos and catchy phrases, but effective branding, effective cohesive branding, I should say. It takes a lot of planning, thought, and strategy. Today, we will be focusing on cohesive branding, that is, because you can brand, but you can appear to be a scatterbrain brander. And I'll touch on that a little more in the show, but that's the last thing you want to come off as or have a reputation of kind of just being all over the place. You need some consistency with your brand. So today, we'll be diving into different facets of branding so that you can apply in your business. This episode is not only ideal for entrepreneurs It also can be applied to aspiring entrepreneurs, and you can even take some of these tips and apply it to managing your personal brand. I really hope that you all enjoy today's topic. The first area of branding that we will be discussing is vision and voice. Your vision and voice is one of the most important aspects of the branding process because it becomes the very foundation of your branding strategy. You need vision and voice before you can develop any type of cohesive branding. So cohesive branding, that means that everything is consistent throughout. You're not appearing to be some scatterbrain who's focusing on this one day and focusing on that one day. Vision and voice will ensure that you have a strong foundation. So you might ask, what is vision? Vision is what specifically are you trying to represent? Are you trying to change the world? Are you trying to solve a specific problem? Are you trying to educate or enlighten? Your company's purpose must be reflective of its vision. Let's say, for an example, you sell internet marketing educational tools, right? Your overall mission is probably to educate individuals on various methods that they can use to increase their traffic on their website and or their income. This provides you with the opportunity to brand yourself as an educational company and also to communicate your company's vision before you can even begin the process of branding. Let's say, for an example, do you plan to sell your products at a high price point to appeal to wealthier clients? Would you prefer to sell a greater volume of your products to help a larger number of people at a lower price? It's questions like these that'll help you decide on your company's vision, and your branding will be far different if you're marketing to the first group than if you were marketing to the second. And that is if you're trying to appeal to a wealthier group or if you're trying to appeal to the masses and just having a greater volume so that you can sell at a much lower price. For an example, let's say if you intend to market your brand to the wealthier customer, you might use words such as, let's say, elite, or things that speak to upper class or wealth instead of using language that'll appeal to the others. So you might use colors and like lifestyle imagery that reflect status and wealth. Whereas if you were to appeal to the masses, maybe you might still include some hints of wealth and status in your branding, but that's not the bulk of your marketing. So after all, you are marketing how to make money, right? You're marketing those types of products in this example, but you want to have a wider appeal to let people know that they don't have to spend a fortune to buy your products. So what is it that you do? You switch up your marketing efforts to appeal to the audience that you want. If maybe you don't have such a small, target of audience or like a select category of audience that you want to market to from the beginning. If you haven't established that targeted audience, don't have targeted marketing efforts. Appeal to the masses. Let's talk about voice. What is voice? Voice is related to your vision. And let me tell you how. Your voice is the image that you convey to the public regarding your vision. Your voice is carried out in every single interaction, whether it be in person, through social media, videos, promotional material, customer service, you name it. You have to determine, based on the type of products that you're selling or services that you're offering, if you want to, let's say, be professional and serious. if you want to convey your company's vision about, more serious matters. Let's say if you had a podcast on domestic violence and your overall vision was to help women like feel less like they're in bondage and to provide them tools of how to get out of their situation, right? You don't want to come off as a joking person who, thinks that everything is hilarious. Why? Because domestic violence is a very serious thing. Like, you don't need to be you don't need to be joking and laughing and playing if you're really trying to help people recover from the abuse. So let's say that you do have a podcast about helping women to recover from domestic violence situation. While you are trying to be professional and more serious, that should be conveyed through your post, but you should also have posts, and your interactions should also convey hope for the future. So yes, not to be, all playful and joking all the time, but to be more professional and serious because it is a serious matter. But you also don't want to be so like rough around the edges that you end up missing out on conveying that hope for the future, right? Because let's say if a woman that's currently in a domestic violence situation stumbles across your social media platform, right? She's scanning your page, and people can get a feel for you like through your social media. Trust me, like you can take a glance and kind of figure out who's behind the profile, right? And so if you just seem like a very cold, professional, serious person that kind of lacks personality, you know what I'm saying? Then that woman, if she really does need help, she may not feel comfortable talking to you or DMing you on how to access your resources, right? So yes, be professional and serious, but you also want to convey hope in your post. And it's no cookie cutter way. It just ultimately depends on what it is that you're selling or the services that you're offering, your overall vision for your business. On the other hand, let's say that you sell fun and exciting products. I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe you don't want to be portrayed as a professional, serious person on your social media platforms. You want, your page to be lit, I guess, quote unquote lit, right? So you're going to have more engaging, funny posts. And so these are just two very different extremes of examples. But if you're still wondering, where do I fit, or how do I try to establish my vision and my voice behind my company or my business, whatever it is, how about you go and look on your Facebook feeds, your Twitter feeds, your Instagram feeds, look up similar companies in your area of expertise or along the same industry that you're in, and see how they market themselves. This is not to say that you copy their strategy or you do exactly what they do. No, just look around to get ideas, and maybe something will spark your attention. And guess what? You put your own unique spin to it. I know people are always caught up on, well, everybody's doing this and everybody's doing that. Well, no one can do whatever it is quite like you. Let's use the example of the fast food industry. So if you think about Chipotle, and no, I'm not endorsing Chipotle because I actually don't like Chipotle, but that's another topic. But I find it very interesting that they don't consider themselves fast food. They consider themselves fast casual, right? And out of many of the other fast food chains, they are less like playful and silly. They are more so serious. And it's because the foundation of their voice and vision is to use like non-GMO foods and for them to be like socially conscious. Something that's actually very interesting about them is I don't know how long ago it was, but for a period of time, they stopped selling pork at Chipotle. And it's because it was something in the news about how pigs were being mistreated or something along those lines. I can't remember all the details, but their decision was consistent with their overall brand, like that seriousness behind being socially conscious and really serving food with integrity. Other restaurant chains tend to be more playful and silly. Let's look at Burger King, for instance. I don't know if any of you all follow Burger King on any social media platforms. I absolutely think that Burger King is disgusting. However, I do follow them on my personal Instagram page because they have like some crazy fun like engagement going on. Like, although I hate their food, but they use their social media platforms to be silly and playful, and as a result they have like great engagement from their customers, and I'm pretty sure like people are just loyal to their brand just because of how they act on social media. And it's just overall people loving their fun approach, and it just fits their overall brand. Bottom line is your voice must be consistent with your vision and your overall brand. I'll be right back after this message. Hello, Yellow Room family. Today's episode was brought to you by Anchor. I chose Anchor as my podcast host because it is, in fact, the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives me everything I need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. In fact, this episode was created and edited right from my mobile device. Anchor's creation tools allow me to record and edit my podcast on the go to make it sound great. They even distributed my podcast for me so that it can be heard on all platforms, to include Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. For more information, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. The next very important aspect of branding is unique selling proposition, or your unique selling point. It's oftentimes referred to as your USP. So essentially, it's what's your competitive position. Specifically, if you are in a very heavy industry or dense like marketplace or what have you, you have to have something about your products or service that's going to set you apart from the rest. So what is it that you can do differently, or what is it that you can do or offer that your competitors can't? Let's go back to the Chipotle example, right? Even in the sea of all of the many different fast food restaurants, how does Chipotle set themselves apart? Well, they refer to themselves as fast casual rather than fast food. They really pride themselves on using local produce when they can and using non-GMO foods as a part of their ingredients. So they appeal to people who care about those things as well. I mean, if it's someone who don't care what they put into their body, they're less likely to care about Chipotle's ingredients. What I'm trying to say is your individual company can do the same thing by figuring out exactly how you can set yourself apart from your competition. Let's say that you are a blogger, right? How many bloggers do we all come across on Instagram daily? The same can be said about podcasts. I mean, there's so many. It's so many to choose from, right? But what are you going to do to set yourself apart? Like, it takes a great deal of thought, like so much thought and so much strategy in order to really reach the masses, right? I'm sure that all of us want to either increase our income or we want to increase like our website traffic and things of that nature, but we really have to put thought into what it is we're doing. So we can't be making these generic pitches or generic Instagram posts, right? And it's also good to do like weekly evaluations. I know for me, I use Instagram, the business account, right? So each week I get a breakdown on insights. I can see which posts were, more effective as far as like my profile visits or my website clicks, right? I can see if I'm selling something, I can see where that traffic from my Instagram profile, like how it funneled into actual sales, right? And so from that, I can see, okay, the people that I'm trying to, reach for this particular service, this event, this product, they like things like XYZ. Maybe it's when I go live, or maybe if it's when I post a video. Maybe they like being talked to a certain way. Maybe they like when I'm funny. Maybe they like when I'm serious. Like, you just have to figure out what it is that you want to do, the type of audience that you're trying to attract, and you just have to build your strategy from there. If you are a little unclear of what your USP is, I would highly suggest that you sit down, take some time, and try to figure things out. You need to really put things on hold, because you can be being a detriment to your own business if you don't take the time to figure it out. Let's look at some examples of companies that we all know of, their USP. So we know Chipotle, they pride themselves on using local, wholesome foods. FedEx, they made a name for itself by delivering overnight packages. We look at Domino's, they really focused on delivering pizza more quickly than its competitors. If let's say for an example, we look at Walmart, they found that keeping their prices lower than other stores, that would skyrocket their success. In order to keep up with Walmart, Target, on the other hand, they focused on more upscale merchandise, right? To appeal to people who wanted to spend a little more money for a more cleaner store, because, hey, Target is way more organized than Walmart, but that's just me. If we think about Avis, the car rental place, they focused on customer service. And I think their slogan is something like, I used to work at Enterprise, y'all. That's how I know this. We're number 2, so we try harder. So that's really speaking to their overall willingness to have this fantastic customer service. Each of these companies, we all know them. If you don't know them from a personal experience, you've heard of them. And it's because they've tried their hardest to set themselves apart from their competitors. And the same can be effective for us. The next area of branding that we are going to discuss is your business name, your company's name. I know this might be kind of alarming for current business owners, because if you've already established a brand, there's really you can change it, but it's not, I guess, as easy. But this is really for aspiring business owners, right? So you have these ideas, you just haven't rolled them out quite yet. And so your company's name is so important, y'all. It took me, before establishing this podcast, it really took me a month to really solidify the name of this podcast. And I had to dig deep. I knew what it meant to me, but I wanted to make sure that I could easily communicate the reasoning behind why it's called the Yellow Room, right? And so essentially, bottom line, your company's name should be reflective of your overall vision. So my overall vision for this podcast was to empower people to unleash their greatest potential in many different areas of their life. And so why is it called the Yellow Room? It's because of what yellow means to me and what the general definition of what yellow means. It's a color of refreshness, it's positivity, it's newness. Like, it's all of these positive, great things. And so when people came to my podcast and they listened to my podcast, I wanted them to feel all of that while listening to my podcast. And so you really need to be very, very, very strategic about your overall company's name. I know some people are like very, they have really big egos, so they like to make their business names like very, very personal. And I mean, it's nothing wrong with that, because there's great, companies and companies that have done well with brands, and they have more personalized like naming conventions. However, it's not always the case, and it's best to have a name that's consistent with your vision. When your company name is aligned with your vision, you actually make marketing easier on yourself. Like, you're able to really come up with very like catchy, like creative taglines for your company. Let's say, for an instance, someone has a marketing company, right? And it's called Marketing Boom, like with an exclamation point. And maybe they have a tagline of explosive growth with Marketing Boom. Like, I don't know, that's kind of, I guess, not good, but you get it. What if it was a marketing company called Marketing Ninjas? Quick, your tagline is like quick, sharp, deadly to your competition, right? So that all of that tagline goes very well with like that word ninjas. I don't know. It's like the creative in me gets excited when I think about or see stuff like that. But let's just say if another marketing company's name was the Three Marketeers, right? Their tagline can be 3 women, 3 approaches, big results. Like, it's so much easier when your overall company name is aligned with your vision, because you can easily come up with like cute, catchy taglines and phrases to really get people bought into your brand. The next area of branding that we're going to talk about is actually slogans and taglines. So taking a deeper look into the importance of slogans and taglines, because they can have a major, huge impact, right? And I just want us to all take a look at some of the most popular and impactful taglines and slogans, and it's probably from like things that we aren't even interested in, but they're so recognizable to us, and like these companies they've done a great job with establishing their brand, right? And so if you think about it, finger looking good, where does that come from? I want you to answer it for yourself first. It's actually KFC. We think of I'm loving it. Who does that come from? That is definitely McDonald's. We think about, what is it? The Real Thing. I think that's Coca-Cola. 30 minutes or less, or it's free. That's Domino's. You think about Like a Good Neighbor. Who is there? State Farm. If you think about, what's another one? Blank is on your side. Duh, it's Nationwide. So if you really think about the importance of slogans and taglines, you really will be able to put the pieces to the puzzle, and to put the pieces of the puzzle together to see how impactful they are. You think about Just Do It. Who is that? Nike. Bet you can't eat just one. It's Lay's, right? So what is it going to take for what is it going to take? What tagline or slogan is it going to take for people to be able to hear your phrase and be like, oh, that's such and such blog, or, oh, that's her podcast. Oh, that came from her YouTube channel. Oh, that comes from her clothing line. Like, whatever it is, you have to come up with something that's catchy and memorable. The last area of branding that I'll be discussing today is visual branding. Like, visual branding is key. And this is probably the part of branding that gets me the most excited and that keeps me up all night. Literally, I will stay up all night because I get so excited when I start creating like visuals and stuff like that. It just really speaks to the creative in me, but I literally will sacrifice the amount of sleep that I get. I know this is not bad, and this is not a tip that I'm selling you on, but I'm a fanatic for a great visual. But anyway, your visual branding, besides your name and your slogans or taglines, is the single most thing that people will remember about your company. Like, it's really what makes you stand out. So this can go along with, your logo, your company colors, or any other visual branding that really sets you apart, right? So if you're making like social media content, we want to talk about like consistency and cohesive branding. You want to always make sure that you throw in your logo somewhere, somehow. If you have specific colors or themes that go along with your overall logo, you want to kind of create content around those colors. And this is not to say that if your colors are red and white in your logo, then you only make red and white content. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the colors in your actual content that you're posting, they should complement that red and white. So it's not saying that you should necessarily stick to, those particular colors. Another thing that goes a long way is your imagery, right? So let's say, back to one of my first examples, if you have that internet marketing educational company, right? And let's say if your target audience that you're trying to really get their attention is like the more wealthier people, because your products or services are like cost-wise high end, right? You want to think about your imagery that you're using in all of your content. Your imagery should speak to wealth and success, and it should just, everything should just flow consistently as far as like your brand and your visuals that you use to market yourself. If you want an idea of, let's say, how visual branding can make a huge impact, just this is what you can do. You can go ahead and go to Google right now, right? And download download McDonald's generic like logo, right? So they can take away most of the elements of the actual logo. And guess what? We still would be able to tell that it's McDonald's logo. It's because of all of their visual branding that they've established for themselves over the year. We just know that it's McDonald's. And so essentially, you want to be so consistent and cohesive with your branding across all aspects that even if someone did try to, let's say, steal your logo and take out a few words or take out a picture or something, a shape here or there, people will still identify that logo as yours. Bottom line, when it comes to visual branding, any product, any post, any services, any content, right, that you post on behalf of your company, anything that's released, it should immediately be recognizable as yours because of your consistent visual branding. There are people, I can quickly glance at my Instagram feed and not even really look at who's posting it, but just by the color scheme, the fonts, or I don't know, it's just something unique. I can off the back tell who posted it. That should ultimately be your goal. You should be recognizable within a blink of an eye. To wrap things up, if you think that branding is only for big companies, you need to think again. Every company and every product needs to concentrate on branding in order to achieve maximum success. Branding isn't just about a logo or tagline or just, those are two certainly important elements, but it's about everything from the company's name and vision to the way that you differentiate yourself from your competitors. It's a complete package, if you want to be honest, of elements that work in tandem. So they all work together to brand the company in the public's eye. I'd like to give you all an assignment to do following this podcast. And this is whether or not you have an existing company, you are an aspiring business owner, where no matter where you are, if you don't have any inclination at all to own a business or anything like that, like apply this to your personal brand, like in your workplace. But I want you to really keep in mind the things that I discussed today as you develop your brand. And I want you to take a moment to assess how you're currently doing with branding. And so remember, the main elements are vision and voice. You have USP, which is your unique selling proposition. You have your name, your overall company name. Is it catchy? Is it reflective of your vision? You have slogans and taglines, and then you have your visual branding. Really think about all of these things and how you've been performing. I mean, none of us are perfect. You probably have some areas that you can brush up on. Even for me, as I'm even doing this podcast, I can name things that I know that I need to work on, but we're all in this together, and it's never too late to change things up. If you are in a business or you're a business owner and you want your business to be sustained, you're always going to have to constantly change and update and kind of tweak the way you do things. So we can't ever get too comfortable or complacent with what we're doing, because at some point we're going to have to change. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode. If you are new here, please consider subscribing on whatever platform you're listening in on today. Leave me a rating, leave me a review, comment, whatever you feel that you want to do. If you already consider yourself a part of the Yellow Room family, please consider making a small monthly donation to sustain and contribute to my growing platform. No amount is too small. Donations can be made at anchor.fm/theyellowroom/support. If you are unable to, I still love you just the same. You can still support me by listening, sharing, and providing feedback. I thank you all so much, and I appreciate your continued listenership. Thank you.